Okay. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. This is Al Stefanelli. You're listening to Boquete Now, Talk Radio on Radio Cherokee 103.3 FM. We are sponsored by Big Daddy's Grill, Boulder 54, and the Tap Out Sport Zone. Tap Out just opened a couple of days ago. They got a brand new menu, so get on down there and check it out. You're going to love it. They're obeying all biosecurity and social distancing, and you have to wear a mask and all that. But hey, you know what? It's been a long, long time since we've had some good tap out food and some sports. So we have Terry Nowak with us today. We're going to be talking to her in a little while. She's with the Rotary Club, and there's a lot going on with the Rotary Club. They have a lot of things that they're going to be doing for the community, and we're going to get to her in just a minute. Before we do, I want to go over the last communication from MINSA, which came out yesterday, right around 6:30. The Pan American Health Organization, that's PAHO, in its latest regional report published this week, revealed that Panama is the second country with the lowest fatality due to COVID-19. How about that, guys, right? In the Americas region, the fatality rate is 3.3%. Panama remains below that rate with 2.1%. And PAHO reports that the PAHO report number 35, published about 2 weeks ago, October 13th, establishes that Cuba has a fatality rate also at 2.1%. So the PAHO table places Paraguay below Panama with 2.2, then Uruguay, then Haiti, etc., etc. The country with the highest fatality rate remains Mexico with 10.3. And Ecuador is up in 8.3, and Bolivia with 6.0%. To maintain these figures, it's important not to lower our guard and to maintain the recommendations established by MINSA. You all know what that is by now, right? Wear a mask, wash your hands, physical distancing or social distancing, depending on which term you prefer. The country is preparing for a possible outbreak. This is not a surprise. This isn't doom and gloom. When things open up, case counts go up, so we are expecting that. The teams of the Ministry of Health, the Social Security Fund, the Ministry of Security, and other institutions that are part of the United Traceability teams that continue to work to prevent infections. The strategy remains to continue looking for cases and all their contacts in the communities in order to cut the chain of the contagion. All of the regional offices of the Ministry of Health, in conjunction with the local authorities of each community, continue to work on the traceability strategy in order to prevent new cases of COVID-19 from being recorded. So far in the world, 26,735,791 people have already recovered. And I bring that piece of good news because why not start off with some good news, right? Pardon me. For yesterday, at the close of business, there were 98,671 people here in Panama who have recovered. That is out of 122,800 and something, I believe. There were 755 new positive cases for a total of 122,883. Okay, I was off a little bit there. The other day, I think through yesterday, there were 6,900, almost 7,000 tests provided. The positivity rate is 10.8%. You remember only 2 months ago it was up in the 20s. So we're doing a really good job. I know it's kind of inconvenient having to deal with the curfews and the rules and regulations, but they are working. One last thing I wanted to tell you about is that starting tomorrow, Cherokee is off their weekend, their Saturday quarantine. Now, you still have to be in the house at 7 o'clock. The quarantine is Monday through Saturday from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then you're in at 7 p.m. on Saturday, and you can go back out to play at 5 o'clock on Monday morning. Why would you want to do that? So, we have Terry here from the Rotary Club. I'm going to give you a brief rundown in case you don't know who the Rotary Club is. It's a global network of 1.2 million neighbors, friends, leaders, and problem solvers who see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. Solving real problems takes real commitment and vision, and for more than 110 years, wow, that's old, right? That's a long time. For more than 110 years, Rotary's people of action have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects, from literacy and peace to water. Here we go. Let's try that again. From literacy and peace to water and health. They are always working to better the world, and they stay committed to the end. They are involving themselves in a myriad of really good causes. There's over 35,000 Rotary clubs working to promote peace, fight disease, provide clean water, sanitation, and hygiene, save mothers and children. That's going to be one of our topics today. Support education and grow local economies. So that is a brief rundown on the Rotary. I know a lot of you are familiar with it. Maybe some of you are members. Maybe some of your parents are. My parents were Rotarians for as long as I can remember. They've both gone on to, let's say, greener pastures now. But I have a profound respect for the Rotary Club. So welcome, Terry, to the show. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. It's a pleasure to be here, and I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about Rotary with you today.
Well, I'm glad you're here. You know, it's Rotary is been involved in Boquete for a number of years now, and
Yes.
you know, I don't think that many people understand, you know, what you guys do here and the impact, the positive impact you have, not just on our local community here in Boquete, but in surrounding areas, and particularly the comarcas.
Yes, we have been somewhat of a quiet group, but now that I'm the head of public relation, they call it public image in our club, we are now getting the word out. We are putting out monthly newsletters, and if anybody would like to get our newsletters, they're very informative of all the things that we're doing in the community. They could just sign up with at www.rotariodeboquete.org, or you can email me at rotariodeboquete@gmail.
Yeah, and I'll put all of those links into the post-program promotional thing that I
Thank
put
you.
out, so everyone
Thank
knows
you.
how to do that. So what are? Let's talk about some of the things that you're involved in here. I know that later on we're going to talk specifically about things that are going on in the comarca with infants and whatnot. What are you guys involved in here in Boquete?
Okay, right. Locally, we're involved in some big and small projects. It's an ongoing. There are some projects that seem to be ongoing. Our support for Hogar Trisker, whether or
yeah.
not they have water issues, we take care of we try to maintain their water tanks. Right now, they have a giant pothole that we're going to fill because it is rather dangerous that somebody can fall through it.
Sure.
And then we also have a couple of projects where we're trying to supply solar lights that can charge cell phones.
Oh yeah.
But then we have some huge projects, very, very big ones. For a small club like ours of about 24, they're big projects. One of them is equal opportunity for learning, and that is it's part of the education department. Now, we've always had a very good scholarship program
Sure.
for students, but at some point the Rotarians said, you know, it's nice to take care of the stars,
Yeah.
the great students,
Sure, well,
but what
yeah,
about, could we use that money to spread it out to more kids? And so the birth of Raspberry Pi happened. Now, Raspberry Pi is a LAN, a local area network.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, and what the idea was that we could take this LAN and fill it with a curriculum from Khan Academy, a very famous academy online.
I'm familiar with them.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
So, and with this LAN, you could take it to the comarca where there's no connectivity, right? And so that was all well and good, but then the shutdown happened.
Yeah, that kind of threw a monkey wrench into a lot of things.
Correct.
Yeah.
We actually, just before the shutdown, we discovered that there was while the Raspberry Pi works great for the jungle where
Sure.
there's no Wi-Fi, you know, we realized that Khan Academy offers this amazing system, diagnostics in teacher teachings and student learning. And that cannot be done in a LAN. It has to be done online.
Okay, yeah. So you actually have to be connected to the
You have
internet.
to be
And for
connected.
those of you who don't know, a LAN is a local area network, and in this case, it's a contained network that doesn't
Yes.
rely on satellites or internet connectivity, which is
Correct.
why it's great for the jungle.
Correct.
But this other program does require connection to the internet.
In order to get, the full advantage of Khan, it's sheer educational magic for me. It's amazing. So we decided at one point that, let's try to get into a school, and let's test it out. And if it works, we could introduce this to the school system.
Sure.
So we got permission. We got in contact with Palmyra and Palmyra Palmyra Central Primary School, and talked to the principal. And principal looked into Khan, and she was sold.
Yeah.
She says, "This is it."
It's kind of hard not to be.
Yeah, come in. Let's try it out. So one of the things that we wanted to implement were these 10-inch tablets.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Okay, so we had everything set up. We even got Maduka's blessing, which was really a milestone
Yeah,
for
that's
us.
hard to get.
Yeah.
That's a good, yeah.
And we were ready in March to get going, and February we were going to get going, and then the shutdown.
Yeah.
The shutdown. And from then on, our program has had to be very nimble. 1 week to the next, things change drastically.
Sure. Yeah.
And for a while there, we were waiting with bated breath for the reopening of school. It didn't happen, didn't
Yeah.
happen, didn't happen. So at some point, and I wish we had come to this point earlier, but be as it may, we said, all right, school's not going to open.
Anytime
What are we
soon
going to
anyway,
do? Oh, and then by the way, this online concept of learning that we wanted to introduce, my goodness, it was being introduced without us.
Oh no.
Well,
I mean, it's good for.
It's
Yeah,
good.
it's good. Yeah.
It's
sure.
half the battle for
Yeah.
us, right?
Yeah.
So here, Panama was introducing online learning. Okay. So we thought, all right, then what we need to do is to get tablets out to kids
Yes.
who are not connected.
Yes.
The one thing great about these tablets is it's like a giant phone.
Yeah.
So it has a SIM slot,
Yes.
and they can get their lessons. Some of these families, I have a principal who told me he has a family of 10 kids, and they're all going to school, and there's one tiny cell phone.
Yep.
And sometimes daddy doesn't come home till late at night.
Yep.
So this family, the whole family of children, are not participating in what is offered.
Sure. Yeah.
So we thought, okay, this is our new. We're going to reroute our mission to provide connectivity for the time being. Our classroom pilot project had to be shelved, which is fine.
Yeah.
So
Well, you'll roll that out eventually, though.
we will.
Yeah.
We absolutely will. But here, I feel like I see this as lemonade and not lemons.
Right.
It has given us a window of opportunity to connect with schools, to talk about online learning, to get tablets out so they're used to this.
Sure,
You know,
yeah.
the kids can hold it and they can experience it,
Yeah.
and so
It's also a lot easier with a tablet than with the phone.
Oh.
Especially the smaller ones.
oh, how do
Yeah.
you do math? Or how do you even look at your assignments?
I know.
Tiny, yeah. It's sad.
Well, I really got to hand it to the powers that be here, because getting a few people acclimated to online learning is not an easy task.
No.
But getting an entire country pointed in that direction,
Yes.
especially in a developing country,
Yes.
and to the magnitude that was required and the progress that they've made.
Yeah.
I got to give them props. They
Yeah.
jumped on this, and then you've got people like the Rotary who've got programs already in place and waiting. So
Yes.
I understand what you're saying, where it's lemonade and not lemons.
Right.
Eventually, everything's going to be online anyway.
Right. And in our little pilot project, we had only about 20 tablets.
Hmm.
And so we thought, okay, now this is early on when we decided to provide tablets and just lend them out,
Hmm.
get them out there and get them used. They're not doing any good sitting there.
Right.
So then we came to the realization we need unlimited data.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
data costs,
That's.
I mean,
Yeah.
at $20 a month for unlimited data, we're trying to figure out how are we going to finance this. We're going to go broke real
Sure.
quick.
You know, it's.
I tell you, this is the absolute truth. As we were discussing this issue, that very meeting, one of our members said, oh, she had this posting that came up in our phone. She goes, guess what? Meduca and the cellular providers are going to work together to give unlimited data to
To
students.
students. Wow.
I thought, wow, that is truly forward thinking.
It
You're
is.
right.
It
You're
is.
right. But you know what? You're absolutely right that it is going to be daunting to try to get everybody.
Well, there's hundreds of thousands of students. When you
Yes.
but if you take a step back and you look at that, it almost seems impossible. But with these little programs, on a small scale, small steps.
Yes,
It's
baby
doable.
steps, yes.
It's doable. You can't just look back and say, well, we have 1 million students, we'll never get this done, because then you're going to lose that drive, you're going to lose that ambition, and just forget it. It's not going to work.
Exactly.
But these small steps, like what the Rotary is doing, 20 tablets is 20 more families that'll be able to go to school.
Right.
Unlimited data.
Right.
And when you think about that, there's a lot of us that, well, what's $20?
Right.
$20 is nothing. But when you have a family of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 people that are living on $200-300 a month,
You're right.
where 5 pounds of rice will feed your family for 1 or 2 days.
Yeah.
It's a lot for them, and that is a huge. And I wasn't aware that Meduca was doing that. They were working with the cell phone providers, the data providers.
Yes.
That's
yes.
fantastic.
Yes.
That's a huge step.
Yes. The only thing is, parents do have to register their children. And the education, the teachers and principals have to register because they have to cross-reference all this in order to know that, in fact, this is a student and.
Yeah.
So after getting 20 out and finding that, my gosh, it seems to be a solution for many families. Our club regrouped and we said, now what? And we decided, since school is probably not going to be open for the rest of the year,
Probably not,
let's
yeah.
buy more tablets.
Yeah.
So we have 200 tablets coming.
Ooh, wow. That's
Yes.
that is a big deal.
Yes.
That's 200 families.
That's 200 families. Now, while Rotary is purchasing about 125, we have another organization like the Handicap Foundation wants
Sure.
a few, and so there's a little consortium of people, organizations getting together to buy tablets with that same goal,
Yeah.
connectivity.
Sure.
Okay, well, great. We are just pumped, and now dealing with the Chinese and buying the tablets is a whole another show.
Yeah,
truly.
it is. I mean, anything you're going to import here that's even related to tech is going to have. I mean, a lot of people don't understand, even shipping them,
Yes.
lithium-ion batteries, that has to go in a particular container for hazmat, and then getting through the various customs.
Yes.
It's not like ordering a crock pot from Amazon.
No.
There's a lot more involved.
No,
with
and
that.
my poor husband has been, he has to be doing his work because China, it works while we're sleeping.
Sure, yeah, that's absolutely true. I
So-
worked many years with Korea,
Yeah.
and I had business meetings at 4 o'clock in the morning, 3
Exact-
o'clock in the morning, and
Yeah.
they're awake, and I'm like, okay, what's next on the agenda?
So anyway, we have these coming, and our latest thoughts were, we've got summer vacation coming now.
Mm-hmm.
We're
Yeah.
almost too late in the game for all these tablets. So we met with the library.
Yes.
And I think that will be our summer headquarter to promote, to expose more teachers and students to the tablet.
Mm-hmm.
I truly believe in my heart of hearts that if we could get these tablets to kids, they could actually catch up what they've lost.
Well, sure. Yeah, I mean, me and some friends of mine, we adopted a school up in Jaramillo. That was
Jaramillo Abajo?
way up.
Oh.
It's the Escuela Estrella.
Okay.
And we were
Estrella.
talking to some of the parents there yesterday. We're preparing a little video presentation, and one of the conversations we had with them is how long each day are you working with your children, because they're out of school too. All the schools are closed,
Right.
and some of these, there's 8, 9, 10 kids in the family.
Yes.
How much time every day are you devoting? Well, one of them had a tiny little cell phone. I think it was an iPhone 5. And it was being shared between 2 families. So you got 18 or 19 kids.
Yes.
And they said about an hour and a half, 2 hours a day. That's not enough.
No.
Especially when you're sharing one device with so many people. Maybe each student is getting 10, 15 minutes
See
of
what,
learning.
what tablets could do for them?
Absolutely. And when you look at that without a tablet or without a program, such as the one you're talking about, they'll never catch up. As a matter of fact, there might be a lot of people repeating a grade. But with this program, even if you still have the one tablet, well, if you have one tablet now, 10-inch tablet for a family, you can have people looking.
Right.
It gives more exposure to school, and plus, like you mentioned, the time. You don't have to wait. Okay, my brother has a tiny cell phone. There's 5 kids ahead of me. I'll get it at 2 in the afternoon, and then by that time you're out of your data.
Yeah.
But yeah, with those tablets and with that program, and I know it is late in the game.
Well, let's after the show, let you and I get together and talk about this area and see what we can do for them.
Yeah.
Because this unlimited data is good for the entire year.
Yeah.
And they can sign up at any time.
Yeah.
So there are these months, about 4 months or so, that they could actually get on Khan Academy and get some lessons,
Yeah.
some science. It's all in Spanish.
Yeah.
Get their math in. It's not all of their courses. Unfortunately, they don't have much in arts and humanities in Khan for the Americas.
Sure.
But when it comes to language, learning English, or math and science,
Yeah.
you can't beat it.
Well, the good thing about the tablet program is the entire curriculum is involved. A lot of these schools here, they're very underfunded, and the teachers don't have books. They don't have the books from Maduka.
Exactly.
So what they're doing is they're making copies of the pages that are needed, and then someone is going to a store there in David and making photocopies,
Yes.
and then distributing, because the books, the curriculum is not available. So, with this program, well, now it's available.
Yes.
And the whole year is available. The whole curriculum is available. All of the material is, you don't have to worry about, well, we don't have school today because no one brought the copies of the book.
Right.
Yeah.
If teacher is sick, school
Yeah,
goes
school
on.
goes on,
I
yeah.
heard that there is no substitution program in schools here. So if a teacher is sick for 2, 3, 4 weeks,
There's no school.
there's no school.
No. I think Panama City might have a version of that. But I know, no, anywhere out here in the interior, and we're so used to that, If we come from
Yeah.
from a developed nation, whether it be the States or Germany or anywhere, teacher's sick, you go into school the next day and there's a sub. My wife was a substitute teacher for secondary and high school for years, and it's she'll get a call 6 o'clock in the morning. Can you come in today? Yeah. So the process of education is never interrupted,
Right.
and we don't understand that when that happens here, school closes. No
Yeah.
teacher. And it isn't, sometimes you'll have, especially in these schools up here in the hills, or the underfunded schools, you'll have one teacher teaching 20, 30 kids, all grades.
All grades.
All together. It's like the old
Exactly.
schoolhouse, you know, in the old
Yes.
West, right? So when the
Yes.
teacher's gone, you have first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth grade closed,
No, no school.
and there's no school.
You know, technology, this is where technology is so beautiful and it is so affordable.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, if there anybody out here listening that is a part of Meduca and you want to talk to us about our research and what we have found, when you can buy units for pennies on the dollar when you buy in mass volume,
Well, sure.
we could really make a difference with education here. We could turn it around. It is solvable.
Well, you know, I think a lot of a lot of us, we don't understand the concept of what you can do, how far a dollar will go with
Yeah.
with technology here, especially if it's for school. You know, on the one hand, you know, we know, oh, I want a new iPhone 12. Well, it's $1,000. I need a new laptop. It's $1,500, and tablets are going, iPads and Android tablets are going anywhere between $500 and $1,500 a piece. And when you hear things like, oh, we need getting 200 tablets, this is not a state of the art iPad you're sending out, but they are adequate. And they
Oh.
do the job, and I'm familiar with probably not the same model you have, but I did a little homework, and these are more than adequate.
Oh, absolutely.
They will work, and they will work with what they're needed for.
They work beautifully.
And I think they're running like $60, $70 or something like that, $80.
Yes, around that if you
Yeah.
buy in the hundreds, but if you buy in
Yeah.
the thousands, it could be down to 20.
Yeah, yeah,
20.
yeah.
That's a throwaway phone.
I know. That's not even a god. That's nothing.
Yeah.
When you take that $20, $30 and you compare it to what it can do for a family here,
Yes.
and how education, a country that doesn't have education, or a society that does not educate itself, won't advance.
No, that's the tragedy of it all.
I don't know. I think it's one of those corny sayings, right? The children are our future. A lot of times we say it tongue in cheek. Maybe we make a joke out of it, but really, seriously, the future of any society is vested with the youth.
Absolutely.
And our time has come and gone.
Mm-hmm.
And thing is that we're usually the ones with the money,
Yeah.
right? So if our time has come and gone, we need to step back, really, and stop trying to help in ways that we're not helping,
Yeah.
and fork over some cash.
Yeah.
Because really, when it comes down to it, these programs won't go off the ground without financing. Without someone's got to pay for the curriculum. Someone's got to pay for the technology, for the even the deals that are being done between Meduca and the data companies. All of this costs money.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic that groups like the Rotary are making this as inexpensive as possible, but it still needs funds.
Well, you have to understand, the cell companies have to understand that this is their future customers,
Yeah, well, yeah.
right? And their future customers need them now. And also, people, if we're going to get a new website going soon. I'm hoping. It's been slightly delayed due to illness and COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And so once that's up, people will have the opportunity to get on our website and, put the few dollars that they may have if they're interested in supporting this
Mhm.
tablet project or other projects
Yeah.
in Rotary. What is the...
Well, we're about at the halfway mark, and I know there's another topic that we really need to
Right.
discuss. But before
Right.
we do, look, the Rotary has been around for more than a century.
Mm-hmm.
They're very well respected organizations, so you can really, really be sure that money you donate to the Rotary is going to where they say it's going to.
Absolutely.
This is one of the few organizations out there that is almost scandal free. And you can go on their website and you could all their financial documents, everything is transparent. And you can see the percentage of money that is collected. There are administrative costs, of course there has to be. But by and large, a huge percentage of the money that's collected goes to these actual.
Our club does not have administrative costs.
Yeah, I'm talking about the headquarters.
Oh, the headquarters, yes, you're
maintaining.
right.
I mean, they have websites and all
Yes,
that stuff they
yes.
have to. But no, the local clubs are generally all volunteer.
Yeah.
So the money that you're parting with, you don't have to have those worries that we sometimes have. Well, you know, if 10 cents of every dollar, I'm not going to give. No, you guys don't get any money, any salary, any compensation.
No.
So 100% of what you give to Rotary goes to their programs.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure everyone. Now we have the street peddlers coming by with their microphones. It's one of the things about doing radio out. So we're out under a gazebo. And while it's wonderful because it's beautiful out, it's like 70 degrees out, there's a slight breeze, it's wonderful,
Paradise.
but you have weed eaters and weed whackers and all kinds of stuff. But that's okay, this is Panama,
I
right?
think it's charming. I came from Taiwan where you had street vendors screaming out
Yeah.
sweet potatoes or whatever,
Yeah.
bread, and it just adds charm to
It
that
does,
atmosphere.
It does. So we're talking with, by the way, in case you tuned in late, we're talking with Terry Nowak from the Rotary Club, Rotario di Boquete, and I'm going to put all the links and emails and everything later today and tomorrow when I get out my post-show promos. We've been talking about education the first half of the show and what the Rotary is doing for the underfunded and poor school systems here, and the fact that there hasn't been school. And they have a wonderful program involving 10-inch tablets and the Khan academic program, which is fantastic. I'm going to put a link to that in there too, so people can see exactly what it is. And deals being worked between Meduca and the data companies to provide data. And I will talk to you after the show. I'm going to give you the number and name of the woman who's coordinating all of this.
Okay.
And then you guys can hook up. I expect a phone call, Shelley. Now we're into the second half of the show, and there's another issue that I know is near and dear to you. Would you like to give us a little intro on what we're going to be talking about?
Well, we have one of our founding Rotarians, Dr. Newton Osborne, who is a OBGYN. And he's now retired, but he's still working here in Boquete, I believe part-time in the hospital. And, he's just been haunted by these needless maternal mortality.
Infant mortality.
Infant mortality
yeah.
and maternal in the comarca.
Sure.
And so this is, every few years he seems to come to the club and say, can we do something? And about almost 2 years ago was his last plea to let's do something about this. And at that time, well, we thought, let's have a mobile clinic. And I mean, we were just going way over the edge.
Well, just think big, right?
Yeah. Hey, it's great to think big, but reality smacks you in the face.
As it is wont to do sometimes.
Exactly. So here we are, 2 years later, and not much was getting done, and so we got a new chairman. His name is Jeff Flynn. He is fascinated with the Nobis. He has extensive background in Central America. He is an agronomist, and he stepped up to the plate. He analyzed. He says, what is it that how can we deal with maternity and infant mortality? Well, he found a path that it was like the light that went out, that was turned on. It was like, of course. He hooked up with an NGO in the States in Savannah, Georgia called Phalarope. And it's headed by a Dr. Rittmeyer. And their project in Guatemala was exactly what we want to do here, to reduce maternity and infant mortality in their comarca.
Sure.
And she has been successful. They hooked up. And so we are now on, I think, a trajectory that can make a huge difference for generations to come. And it is to develop a midwifery program, and will be self-sustaining. So what Dr. Rittmeyer and Fowler and Rotary would like to do is come into the comarca, do an assessment of our comarca here, do an assessment, and then proceed with developing a core of, I think the term is called health providers. They are trained to teach midwifery.
Okay.
And they are, and the beauty of this whole program is we're not bringing in blonde hair, blue eye people who can,
Sure.
maybe they can speak Spanish, but, they have their way of doing things. We are going to get the leaders and the Nobe people and the Nobe women trained.
And that.
And they will train Nobe midwives.
Now, can you give us just a brief definition of what a midwife is? Because a lot of people might not understand. You don't have to get technical or whatever,
right.
but what is their function?
Well, hospitals weren't around forever for millions, billions, however mankind has been around. There have been women who help other women give birth, and so and a lot of these women that seem to have the talent to help give birth, they tend to be very interested in maybe their traditional medicine.
Sure, yeah.
They understand the taboos,
Yeah.
and so they kind of became specialized in villages.
Yeah.
And in modern day, my niece is a midwife. She got her
cool.
midwifery degree at Yale.
Wow, really?
She's a Dartmouth graduate.
That is very impressive.
Yes. So midwives are serious
Yeah.
health providers.
Is
And
that the
they
same
should
thi-
be taken.
Is a midwife the same thing as a doula?
Yes,
Okay.
that's
all right.
exactly what it is.
It's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
I've known a couple
Mm-hmm.
in my life, but
Yeah.
I've never actually gotten the specifics behind it. But yeah, it does make sense though, as you are very, very correct. Modern medicine is exactly what it is, modern medicine. And a lot of these communities and traditions and tribes have been around for thousands of years.
Yes.
I got to know, sort of, not as much as I can, a shaman in the Kuna, and I got a little mini lesson on the herbs and plants and all the medicinal things that they use, and I have to be honest with you, my level of ignorance in this field was phenomenal. I don't know, the way things were explained to me. You have these people that they're elderly. They train, as you said, they train the other medicine people, and they've got a plant for everything.
Right.
They've got and I don't want to say a cure, but they have a treatment for everything. To whereas we might take a Tylenol for a headache, take this leaf and crush it up and add this and then mix it and put it in water and it works, right? So we shouldn't be too quick to dismiss the traditions that a lot of these tribes use to take care of their people.
Yes.
And the use of indigenous to help indigenous.
Yes.
That I think to me shows a really high level of desire to make sure that these people are taken care of.
Yes.
And if you're not aware of and I don't have the figures in my head for the maternal mortality, but the national average for infant mortality is about 18 or 19 deaths out of every 1,000 live births. In the comarca here in Panama, it's 45.
It's yes.
And that's more than double
Yes.
of what the average is.
Yeah.
and this is a serious problem. And if we have the ability to do something about it, I think, we're all kind of obligated to, whether you're going to volunteer or you're going to take your wallet out and give some money. But the midwifery thing, getting back to that, is the Rotary's involved? Is the Rotary involved in that program?
Well, the Rotary is now going to be working in partnership with Phalarope, who has already has already developed a successful program, and we're just going to do basically transplant that program over here because it works for the same type of indigenous issues.
In Guatemala, this is what
in
you're talking
Guatemala.
Guatemala.
Now,
Yeah.
Dr. Rittmeyer is a fascinating woman. Her name doesn't sound like it, but she's a native Guatemalan.
Really?
And she's gotten her degree. I mean, her credentials are amazing. I wish I had brought my newsletter, but all the top-notch schools, Johns Hopkins, you name it. And she's the real deal.
Yeah.
And what's so cool is she went back home
Yeah.
to solve a problem.
Wow. And she didn't have to. With those
She didn't
credentials,
have
she
to.
probably could have gotten a job anywhere in the developed world, making a lot of money, but she
Yeah.
chose to bring it back to her people.
Yeah, and
Yes.
so that program is so successful. They had decided that they would expand, and serendipitously, Jeff entered into her life and said, well, "Gee, we're in Panama. We need that." And she goes, "Yes, this is exactly what I wanted to do because I wanted to spread this success to other Latin countries because it's pretty common."
So basically what they're doing is they're training indigenous women
Yes,
to train other indigenous women.
yes.
And that is what keeps everything, as they say, keep it in the family.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's where the initial cost is going to be, is they have to come in here once the country opens, they have to do an assessment, and then they have to, develop, they have to find those health providers,
Sure.
and get them educated. And then, again, they know that these Nobi women are limited in their education, but that doesn't mean that they can't be taught.
No, it's very true. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. That's a lack of education doesn't mean you're incapable.
Exactly.
And I think that's
or
a
you're
stigma.
stupid.
Or you're stupid. Right.
Right, you
Exactly.
just-
Sure.
Yeah. So
See the opportunity.
it is. So and this may not be politically correct to say. Maybe I should.
Well,
Let me
the
put it
cat's
this
out of the
way.
bag now. You might as well say it.
Let's put it this way. There are clinics
Mm-hmm.
in the comarcas, and there seems to be an adversarial attitude
Mm-hmm.
toward midwives. We need to take care of that issue, and
Sure.
I think we're on the cusp of doing that. I think MINSA has become a lot more aware
Uh-huh.
and a lot more willing
Sure.
to work with other groups.
Yeah.
And it even like Meduca, it was very difficult to get anything done in the school. Now they're beginning to say,
Yeah.
okay, let's
Well,
work this out.
It's because of the efforts of groups like Rotary that you make an inroad into one school, right, or to one community, or to one village,
Yeah.
and that's the foothold that you need, because now it's not just, hey, we can do this without anything to back it up. Now you have, well, look what we've done here.
Right.
We've taken this little school here and we've given them 20 tablets like we were talking about earlier.
Right.
Or we were in this one village here, and over the last year, there's 100 women in here. There was 100 births, and the infant mortality rate for this year is 30,
Right.
as opposed to 45. So getting in there and doing something
Right.
is wonderful.
But these clinics, they're centralized.
Yeah,
So some of these women have to walk 3-4 hours
to get there. Yeah,
to get there.
Sure.
That's too long.
Yeah.
So with midwives, they're scattered throughout the jungle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
you
there's
don't have
there's
to go.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And No, I have a profound respect for the medical profession, but women have been having babies longer than there have been doctors. So,
That's right.
this is not something new.
No.
This is a tradition and a practice that's been around for as long as we've been around.
That's right.
And I understand the thing about the stigma. Sometimes you'll have people with all good intentions, will say, well, this is the new way of doing things. So this is the only way we're going to do it,
Yeah.
and we're going to put our building right here,
Yeah.
and that's great if you live by that building.
Right.
It's like some of the schools. One of the schools that the one I was telling you about earlier, is several kilometers away, across a couple of rivers
Yeah.
to get there, and we think, oh, we got to go 2 miles, just jump in the car and we're there in a minute. But when you're 8, 9, 10 years old and you've got to walk down a mountain for 2 kilometers across 2 rivers, or across a river and up hills and through rocks and brush and everything, well, it becomes a whole different thing. So in this situation, if you need medical care, if you're pregnant, now instead of having to, well, how am I going to get 3 kilometers up this hill?
Yeah.
Well, there's a midwife 300 yards that way.
That's right.
So yeah, that's great.
And
That's
also,
fantastic.
they're going to work on nutrition,
Mm-hmm.
prenatal vitamins, a
Mhm.
lot of things just for the basic health of pregnant
Sure.
women.
Sure. Well, that also speaks to the mortality rate too, for both the mother
Absolutely.
and the child. Without the proper nutrition,
Yeah.
and like I said, I'm not an expert statistician on these things, but common sense tells me that if the mother is malnourished, the baby's malnourished, and if the
Yes.
baby's malnourished, then you get into complicated pregnancies. And I have been through with my wife a complicated pregnancy, and it's unnerving.
Yes.
But to be able to have that, I think this is absolutely wonderful. I mean, I can't express enough, people, of how important this is and how detrimental it is not to have this available. These are very, very poor communities.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people really understand the level of poverty in some of these mountain villages. It's mind blowing, and we can do as a community here, especially as an expat community. There's so much that we can do to help the people who have been here.
Right.
We're guests here.
Right.
Okay, here. Thanks for letting us hang out in your
Yeah.
in your mountain village here. Here's $20. Here's $50. Here's $100. The midwives and the people who train them.
Mm-hmm.
The people who train them, are they being trained in the comarcas, or are they being taken somewhere else in like a classroom situation? Offhand, if you know.
I have to. I don't know. I can't answer that honestly. I'm assuming that these health providers, since they're drawn from the community,
Mhm.
they're assessed
Okay.
for what they can do.
Sure.
And so I'm thinking that there is a process where, in fact, in Guatemala, the midwives that are done with their educational project are certified.
Okay.
They're given a certificate, and this gives them, although they may not be recognized by the medical association in Guatemala or maybe even the government, it is saying that this woman knows enough to be able to do some basic diagnostics,
Sure.
can recognize some issues, can assist in giving birth, knows all the safety and the precautions. So, and it gives them that sense of
Purpose
dignity
and purpose.
and
Dignity
purpose.
Yeah.
And it also will give them that networking ability.
Yeah.
If I know that you were certified, I can work with you.
Well, you mentioned earlier, we briefly talked about that stigma thing, right? So
Yes.
you've got the MINSA offices. It would be beneficial to everybody if they worked in concert with the midwives.
Yes.
And maybe referred them out. If someone from MINSA, goes 2, 3, kilometers, 5 kilometers to this village, and there's a pregnant woman who needs help and has no way of getting to the hospital, if they would be able to, that and you may not realize this, folks, but back in the day in the United States, when you called an ambulance, they basically had a driver and a helper come by and pick you up, throw you in the back, and drive you to the hospital. It was basically a taxi service.
Yeah, you're
and
right.
they started training local
EMTs.
people. This is how paramedics started. This is
That's
how
right.
EMTs started.
That's right.
To give you care on the way to the hospital. Now you have PAs, and now you have a lot of medical professionals that maybe they're not at the level of doctors or
Right.
nurses, but they are certified, and now they're recognized as
That's-
someone that can come to your house and treat you, and maybe you can write it off on your insurance. I think that's the direction that we're heading here.
That
I
is
would
the
love to
word,
see that.
recognition.
Yeah.
That is the word. In fact, Jeff Flynn, his father was a chiropractor. This is the Rotarian chair of our committee. And he was telling me that his father, I can't remember in what days, it might have been in the 70s, was a chiropractor. And at that time, they were not recognized as
Yeah.
real doctors
Yep.
by the American
Medical Association.
yeah,
the AMA.
Medical Association, AMA. And so he could see the injustice of this, you
Yeah.
know, that there are very good health providers that can make an impact, a tremendous impact, and they're not appreciated or
Yeah.
recognized.
And that really, I've gotten an education on chiropractors. My daughter is in her doctoral program for being a chiropractor. She'll graduate in a couple years, and over the course of time, there's a lot of things I didn't know. And one of the things that I wasn't aware of was that not too long ago, chiropractors were looked upon as quacks.
Yes.
What are you doing? What's all this manipulation stuff? But because of that initial, even though it was slow, recognition, well, now then you have the scientific community getting involved. Well, what are the benefits? And then the scientific community, well, hey, look, this is actually, we've done our tests. We've applied the scientific method to this. Now we understand that this is a thing.
Yeah.
And you need to recognize, is that word again, you need to recognize this branch of medicine as a legitimate branch of medicine because it has proven to be efficacious.
Right.
And but I was not aware of that, and a lot of people might not be aware of that, or a lot of older people who maybe are still in that mindset. Stop being part of the problem. The people here who might not understand what a doula is or a midwife is, especially if you're working in the medical profession here, stop being part of the problem.
Right.
And understand that these people deserve the recognition for the work they do and for the help that they bring to these poor communities.
Right.
Right.
There have been attempts. This isn't the very first. There has been an attempt a while back. I'm not exactly sure when, but by the Peace Corps. They kind of started a little corps of midwives in their. The acronym is ASASTRAN, ASASTRAN. Now, Peace Corps left.
Yeah.
Everybody's gone.
Yep.
COVID just kind of
Yep.
cut everybody off. And so we have really a good little group to start with that have some background in it. So it's very promising. It seems like once the country opens again, we will be flying with this program. We're so excited.
Well,
I'm just
when you look at just these two things, just these two projects out of the many projects the Rotary is working on.
big projects, aren't they?
They are big projects, but when you look at the section of population that this is going to positively affect, it's basically from birth to school.
Yeah.
Making sure that babies are born as healthy as possible, and making sure moms are healthy as possible, and then making sure that we're there to see them through the process of raising that child to school age, and then having they are major projects, and really the only thing that can come out of them is good, and positive results. If somebody wants to, and we got a few minutes left, I wanted to find out here now for those of people who might be thinking, hey, I want to help out in this, do you have to be a member of the Rotary Club to help on these projects? Say, I don't have any money, but I got time and I got a strong back.
Not necessarily. You could be a friend of Rotary, and if you have a specific specialty or special knowledge, or something that could be of use to our project, our causes, we welcome that help. Of course, we really would like to grow our membership. It is. There's something about the camaraderie that happens when we work together on something. Is very special. But no, in answering your question, if somebody said, I'm very interested in tablets. I want to help. I want to work in education, but I'm only here for 2 months out of the year.
Right, sure.
Or 4 months out of the year.
Yeah, snowbirds.
Yeah, snowbirds. Yeah. We do have kind of a category called Friends of Rotary that will accept help anywhere it comes.
I'm going to put the link also, if you're interested in joining the Rotary Club.
Yes.
Should I send people to the main Rotary page, or do you have an area?
Yeah, as I said, we're
working on the website.
We're working on the website. It is kind of right now, kind of a simple website, but you can contact us through that website if you're interested, or email us at rotariodeboquete@gmail.
Yeah, and I'll get all that information from you. I'm going to put that on, like I said, on the internets there. I really, we got about 2 minutes left, and I really, really want to thank you for coming, because like I said, my family has been involved in the Rotary since I could remember. And I'm not a Rotarian. That's a whole other show right there. But my family has been involved, and I'm very familiar with worldwide the impact that the Rotary has, and the reputation that it enjoys of being a major player in world change.
Yes.
Yes.
And
I know a lot of people are afraid of change. But
Rotary was one of the few private clubs that was in the first United Nations meeting.
Yeah, that was in 50. I can't remember. My dad told me about that. Yeah,
long time,
it was. It might even been my grandfather. I don't know. But the Rotary Club here in Boquete needs members. Right? Needs some members.
We welcome members. And
now, do you have any fundraisers coming up?
Due to social distancing, it's been it's been a challenge. We just recently had one with Big Daddies, and it was a barbecue, and we had a raffle, and we're going to soon. And when I do,
let me know. Yeah,
I will.
We'll definitely do that.
I really appreciate your support.
Oh, this, I really, seriously, I've been all over this country, and I've seen the best, and I've seen the worst. And I don't mean the worst by bad. I mean the worst by abject poverty. And it's really an eye-opener, when you see it takes so little, really, in the grand scheme of things, to help, these people.
You just have to care.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. You really, really have to care. So anyway, we're about done. It's 1 minute to the hour. I want to thank Terry Nowak from the Rotary Club of Boquete, Rotario di Boquete. We would talk today about the work they're doing to enhance the education in the poor communities, and of course what they're doing to combat maternal and infant deaths in the comarcas here, and it's been an eye-opening show. I will post a video within the next day or two, and I'll send you all the links. You've been listening to Boquete Now, Talk Radio on Radio Cherokee 103.3 FM, sponsored by Big Daddy's Grill, Boulder 54 in the Tap Out Sports Zone. Thank you very much. You all have a great day. Paso buen dia, mi amigos and mi amigas. We are out.